India just quietly pulled off something massive in the global arms market. And most people completely missed it. We're talking drones. Military drones. And the numbers? Yeah, they're wild. So here's where things stand. By March 2026, India's military drone industry pulled in 30 billion rupees. That's roughly $317 million. Solid number, right? But hold on, because analysts are projecting that figure to balloon 4 to 5 times over by March 2028. We're talking potentially 120 to 150 billion rupees in 2 years. So what's actually fueling this? It comes down to one brutal competitive advantage: price. Indian-made drones, which stands for medium altitude long endurance, basically the go-to workhorses for surveillance and combat. They're priced anywhere between 1 lakh and 4 lakh $22,000 per unit. Now look at the infographic here and compare that to the American equivalent. Sitting at around $30 million a pop. That's not a gap, that's a chasm. We're talking a 99% cost advantage. It's like choosing between a fully loaded Maruti Swift and a Rolls Royce. Both get you where you're going, but one is accessible to basically the entire planet. And that's exactly what's happening. Flying Wedge, an Indian drone maker, already closed a $30 million export deal in August 2025 and is gunning for a $100 million order book within 18 months, with Kenya and Portugal actively in talks. Meanwhile, Solar Industries, a company you'd normally associate with ammunition, racked up export orders worth more than 28 billion rupees between November 2025 and January 2026 alone. Now, and this part is important, drone exports still make up less than 10% of India's total drone revenue and less than 5% of its overall defense exports, which sit at 384 billion rupees. So despite all this momentum, India is genuinely just getting started. The foundation is there, the trajectory is steep, and the global market, it's paying attention. So now the real question: who actually makes money from all of this? And who gets left behind? Let's get into it. Actually, on the winner's side, 3 names keep coming up. And you can see them right here on screen. Solar Industries, Zen Technologies, and IdeaForge. Solar Industries is the big one. It started as an ammunition maker, but the export order inflow it's pulling in now tells you global buyers are actively choosing Indian platforms over everyone else. Zen Technologies plays a slightly different game. They make anti-drone systems, essentially the shields that take enemy drones out of the sky. High margin niche, and as exports to friendly nations scale up, analysts expect a serious re-rating, meaning the market starts valuing that stock way higher than it does today. And then there's IdeaForge, which just landed a contract with US law enforcement. Think about that for a second. A Western buyer choosing an Indian surveillance drone. That's not a small deal. That's a door opening to the entire Western market. You'll notice it flagged right there on the infographic. Mutual funds heavy on defense and manufacturing ETFs. Those are basically baskets of stocks you buy like a single share, are also positioned to benefit as earnings upgrades start flowing through these companies. Now, the losers. Western giants like General Atomics and Elbit Systems are genuinely losing ground in developing markets they once owned. And Chinese exporters? They've got a perception problem that money can't easily fix. Indian drones carry combat-proven tag, earned in real battlefield conditions. Chinese systems simply can't claim that right now. But here's the part where I tell a friend to slow down. A lot of small-cap Indian defense stocks have already rallied hard on pure hype. Total export revenues are still sitting around $317 million. Solid, but not exactly revolution-complete numbers. Overvaluation risk is very real here. A stock's price can run way ahead of what the company is actually earning. And that story should sound familiar, because it's the exact same script as every tech bubble you've ever seen. Excitement outruns fundamentals, and then gravity kicks in. So yes, the opportunity is real, but invest with your eyes open, not just your enthusiasm. Winners, losers, and a bubble warning all in one segment. Not bad. Next up, we zoom out and look at what this all means at a policy and geopolitical level. Because the business story and the global power story are more connected than you might think. So here's the question that actually matters. Is this a one-time spike? Or the beginning of something structural? Because those are very different investment theses. Think about Xiaomi in its early days. It didn't beat Apple on every spec. The camera was worse. The software was rougher around the edges. But for hundreds of millions of buyers across emerging markets, the price-to-performance ratio was simply unbeatable. Indian drones are playing exactly that game right now. They don't outperform American or Israeli systems on every single metric. But for a developing nation with a tight defense budget, a $300,000 drone that actually works is infinitely more useful than a $30 million one that's completely out of reach. That cost gap isn't a weakness. It's the entire strategy. And then there's the combat validation factor, which is arguably India's most powerful marketing tool right now. Think of it like a Bollywood film getting that blockbuster tag after opening weekend. Real war performance is the ultimate certification that no advertising budget on earth can buy. Indian drones have now been tested in actual conflict environments, and that credibility is landing with buyers from Africa all the way to Europe. Kenya and Portugal aren't just names in a press release, they're proof of concept. Now for entrepreneurs watching this, the opportunity isn't just in defense stocks. The entire supply chain is expanding: components, software, maintenance services, logistics. And here's the kicker: drone exports are still less than 5% of India's 384 billion rupees total defense export figure. That gap isn't a problem. That gap is the opportunity. The 4 to 5 times revenue growth projected by March 2028 isn't just optimism. It's backed by signed contracts, active negotiations, and a structural cost advantage that competitors simply cannot replicate overnight. The runway here is long, and the takeoff has already begun. That's the full picture on India's drone export story. Stay with us. Follow us for more updates like this. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and X.